I want to talk about green power. In the falsification of African consciousness, we try to demonstrate that money and power and economics are intimately related to history. You cannot take away your history and separate yourself from your history and be involved in the earning of wealth and power and the development of power. If history were that unimportant, why is it that the other people have worked so hard to take it from you? Why is it that they've worked so hard to distort it and change it? They must be very apparent then that history is a key part of a people's culture and behavioral orientation. We demonstrate in that book how a loss of our sense of history has robbed us of a capacity to finance our own economic development as a people. Because the history of your people is not only a memorial to the great people in your past and so forth, but the history of your people is a history of techniques, methods of coping with problems and solving problems. The history of your people passes on to you the learned methods and techniques of dealing with various issues. So when you get to know your history and you get to know the anthropology of your people, you can use that history and anthropology to confront various problems, you see, and you won't have to learn all over again and lose a lot of time. To a good extent, our loss of history in this, particularly as African Americans, has crippled us tremendously in many, many, many ways, in terms of our family and in terms of economic development. These people that we call Koreans are using techniques for the financing of their businesses that Africans have been using for hundreds and thousands of years. Hundreds and thousands of years. The Koreans could not outfinance us as African Americans in the establishment of businesses in this country, except that we forgot how to finance businesses because we forgot what our forefathers taught us. It's not that we didn't have any money. We have plenty of money. But we don't know how to use it because we didn't look back into their history and say, how did our forefathers organize economic development? And of course, that's one of the reasons why the people robbed us of the history, so that they could take advantage of us economically and socially. As I've said before, every characteristic that we may call maladjustive in our personalities as a people, in our society as a people, has an economic function. If you would look at any characteristic that with which we describe ourselves in maladjustive terms, you can trace that trait back to economic advantage. You see, the fact that we have not been able to recall the means by which we saved money as a people and financed business means that other people who remembered their historical techniques could establish businesses in our communities and take advantage of us. So then our amnesia, which is what we suffer from most of all, historical amnesia, works to the political, economic, and social advantage of all of those who exploit us. We talk about, of course, the technology of Eurocentric psychology. We talk about the fact that if you are a so-called normal, law-abiding African person, in terms of the way those concepts are defined in this society, then you're out of your mind. What we call pathological normalcy. We talk about the fact that personality is not just a It's not really a psychological concept. People think the concept of personality is psychological. Personality essentially is a political and economic concept, you see. Because when you look at personality as an organized system of desires and wishes, values and hopes and needs and motives, which when the person seeks to satisfy them, they consume things. You will note then that the things we consume to satisfy our personal needs are those things sold to us by the people who created the needs in us to begin with. See? You have to understand that. And so by creating a so-called normal personality in black folk, we have had a personality infused in us such that when we behave normally, we work against our very best interest as a people. And that's why Eurocentric psychiatry has to be re-examined and completely restructured and destroyed and replaced by an African-centered psychology. Yes. Identity is a political economic concept. If you had the correct African-centered identity, the Koreans wouldn't be in the midst of your neighborhoods today. That's right. Because people consume, we buy, mainly as a way to affirm who we are and who we think we are. So when you let another people impose an image on you and you accept the image that they impose on you, then you go out to consume to maintain that image. Then in consumption, you are going to maintain their power over you. So you must understand then, when we talk about an identity, it is not merely a matter of race pride. It involves at its depths economics and political behavior and everything else. So when you say you're black or when you say you're African, that means that we expect a certain system of behaviors from you such that they are supportive of African peoples and African ends. We're going to come back to that shortly. So we want you to continue to buy the falsification of African consciousness. This is a body of works that I'm trying to get out of here before we do some other things. Before we move together with Brother Maddox into the stage of organization. But we're trying to get a body of work so we can base our organization around a set of literature. We got a large volume coming out here at the back end of November, the first part of December, Blueprint for Black Power. We finally finished it, 400 or 500 pages. We might give it to you in 2 volumes so you won't have to take it all at once. But in that book, we are going to lay out chapter and verse the means by which we can gain real power in America and in the world. We're going to discuss the forms of power, the bases of power. We're going to talk about culture and power, family and power, religious institutions and power, and that whole bit. And then we're going to go line by line in terms of the various means by which we can develop cultural institutions, economic institutions that empower us as a people. So that after this, the black nationalists at least will not be accused of just doing analysis only, because the recipe will be there. And from this point on, then, if you don't do anything, it won't be because you didn't know and you don't have the means, but you just don't want to. which is what I think is the problem anyway. But we like to hide behind, you're just giving us analysis, you see. But frankly, the answer is in the analysis, if you listen well enough. And I try to advise people who are doing work, try to frame your analysis in such a way that it has a program in it. That when you get through, there's a program built right into the results and right into the approach, you see. And that's the reason why you have to form meaningful questions from the very beginning. And you have to go into your analysis with the idea that you're looking toward a solution. While there are many true approaches to a problem and many approaches that may explain the problem, not all approaches are equally practical for solving the problem. While you can say that racism exists in America because white folk don't love us, what kind of program is there? That means now you're going to preach forever trying to get them to love you. An impractical problem, an impractical analysis. While you might say that whites dominate us because they have recessive genes, or because they have a penis envy, a color envy, whatever you want to call it. That's true. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with that. Except what kind of program does that imply? That you recess your genes? That you cut off an inch or two? That you bleach yourself? It's a perfect and it's a great answer, but you got to get a what? A programmable answer. One that can be translated into real programs. But anyway, we hope you'll be able to pick that up later on, Blueprint for Black Power, and of course followed by the main book also on educating African children for the 21st century, which has already been written, but we just got to edit it, where we will go into the whole African-centered approach to education. Tonight I want to talk a bit about the crisis of leadership and look at this crisis. Some of you no doubt saw last week's gathering of black leaders, Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, I believe it was, the Black Caucus,